Okay, today is Tuesday, August 23rd. It is 6 p.m. We are now going to open up the Charlton Board of Health meeting. All board members are in attendance. We do have John Sanborn. He is in attendance, but on the telephone, and he will be attending this meeting remotely. John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you like you're sitting right next to me. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, Pete, you can hear that, okay?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, yep, thank you. So first order of business, we're going to accept the prior minutes of July 26, 2022.
I'll make a motion that we accept the previous meeting minutes of July 26th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passed. All in favor. Second item is, looks like we have a well variance request, 27 South Buffalo Shore Road. Jay, is that why you're here?
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us what's going on and enlighten us?
Yes, man.
This, sir.
Is that the same one?
I took it out of the folder,
Yeah, I'll look it up.
The cards are in there, that's all.
Oh, okay, thank you.
yeah. So Jason DuBois, DC Engineering and Survey. 27 South Buffinville Shore Road, existing house on Buffin Pond. It had a failed septic system, so we designed a new septic system back in 2020. Gave it to the owner. I guess he never submitted it, but now it's in front of the board. There are 3 or 4 wells, including the owner's well, that's less than 100 feet to the proposed septic system area. Title V does allow you to go down to 50 feet with a local upgrade approval, requires a public hearing. So at 23 Buffinville Shore Road, which is the north property, we're just shy of 52 feet. 26 Buffinville Shore across the street, we're at 85.7 feet, and at 31, we're 91 feet away. The owner's well is just over 50 feet away. The leach field does fit, that's why it wouldn't justify a tight tank. There is an existing system there now. I don't know the extent of it. I don't think it's probably much. But that's it. We also need a variance or a local upgrade for property line for the septic system to be less than 10 feet away, which Title V requires. So we're at 6.5 feet on one side and 6.3 feet on the other side. Everything else meets all the setback requirements.
So you need 2 local upgrades?
The well and property line.
Well and
But
property,
that's- yeah.
but each line item has more than one issue.
Correct.
I'm with you. Jim, has Tom had a chance to review this, do you know?
I believe he has, and he's okay with it.
Yeah.
He did call me today.
Okay, is there anybody in this room that has any thought, or are there any neighbors or anything for this system? And what's the address again, 27?
27 South Buffinville Shore Road.
27. Okay. So, the abutters, there was 3 that are,
Yes, yep. 26 Buffinville Shore, 23, and 31.
Only got 1 card back, but they just wouldn't pick it up.
Yeah.
So they would try to be served 3 times.
right, so I can see it here, Pete as well. Those are the 3 addresses, sent certified mail, August 2nd. So let's just talk about the distance. 50 feet 1 inch is pretty, it's close.
Yeah, it
Right
is.
there. And that was their own well.
That's their own well, that's the closest one.
Yeah, and the other one's right behind it though, 51 foot 7 inches
Yep.
for the neighbor.
Yep. I mean, if the board wishes, we could absolutely stake this to the installer, make sure they don't have any wiggle room, so.
There's no wiggle room.
No.
We're already beyond wiggle room.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, Jay. Are they putting anything like,
There's a membrane around the whole system.
there's a membrane around the
Yep.
wole thing?
Yep. Just because it's raised up too, and there's, we couldn't make breakout.
So was it like 4 foot?
It's 4 feet above groundwater.
Okay.
We had groundwater at 4 feet, and we're 4 feet above groundwater, so this system is basically sitting right on the surface.
I'm good with the setbacks, that it's close, but I do realize that's a better deal than what's there now, and I also realize that a tight tank is not the answer for that, so I believe this is more of a permanent solution. So as far as the distance from the well, I'm okay with that on all three of them. In the past, this board has granted those distances, and it has not yet come back to haunt us that I'm aware of, so I'm okay with it. I don't know, Pete, do you have any?
No, go with it.
John, did you hear all what's going on? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I can hear every word, Matt, thanks very much. No, it sounds like we've gone through this before with some of these houses near lakes and reservoirs, so, with Jason doing the best that he can, and Tom reviewing the system, and it sounds like this is the best alternative, so I have no issues.
Okay, thank you. So Jay, if I just think it's important to keep an eye on this one as depending who's installing it, but
Right. Yep.
just if you possibly can, keep a good eye on it when you go to do your bottom.
Yep.
Just make sure it's
So we'll make sure it's in the exact location.
in the exact location so we get it right. So I would entertain a motion to allow the reduced distance on the 3 wells noted herein.
It's actually 4, I guess, if you include the owner as well.
4th well, including the owners. Okay.
I'll make a motion for the reduced variance greater than 50 feet from the zoning of 100 feet from the wells.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so the distance to the wells passes unanimous throughout this board. The second discussion is that distance, and what was it, 6.5 feet from the property line?
6.5 and 6.3.
6.3.
Yep.
I'm good with that. Again, we just got to get it right. If that ends up on the neighbors,
Yeah.
or if, is that a public road or a private road? Do you know?
I'm gonna guess it's a private road, but I'm not positive.
I think it's a
Kind
private
of off the
road too.
beaten path, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's private.
the road actually comes down this little right away and just kind of turns and comes down.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar with it.
No.
Yeah, just if you can, whoever's doing it, just to make sure they're right on the money with it.
Yeah.
We should be good with it. So I'd entertain a motion to allow the setback distance to be less than 10 feet.
Make a motion to allow the setback distance to be less than 10 feet.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is well passed, unanimous. Jay, is there any trees coming down on that?
No, I don't think so.
All right, take a good look, but if there are, make sure the trees and the stumps get exported off-site. I mean, if there's trees and the homeowner wants it, that's one
Yeah.
thing, but we got something going on in that neighborhood with a stump, and we just want to make sure that we're not repeating the process.
Okay. Pretty sure this is all open.
Yeah, I think there was a stump they could put across the street on a different system years ago, and
Yep.
now it's coming up for discussion, so just, if there's anything that's getting exported, make sure it goes out, because I think some of the neighbors on the right-hand side might be putting a good eye on it,
Okay.
so. All right, sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
That goes in there.
You want this back?
I'll give them that.
That one's ours. Okay,
All right, thanks. Good night, guys.
yep, good night. Next, we have a discussion on 171 Sunset Drive well issue. Anyone here for that?
Yes.
Okay. You guys, if you feel comfortable sitting right there, go ahead if you want to. Yeah, perfect. And if you want to speak up, just raise your hand and I'll call on you when I see you. So, my understanding, and Jim, I'm just going to discuss it. Correct me if my understanding is wrong, but sounds like the Glen Echo Lake Association wants to lower the water to do some maintenance on the pond. Is that accurate?
I believe it's the town of Charlton.
Okay.
that Signed up on it.
The town of Charlton wants to do that.
Yes.
Weed control.
The weed control. And 171 Sunset has a hand dug well that is in direct relationship to the water level of the lake. So in other words, if the water level of the lake is here, that's the level that supplies that hand dug well, and that fluctuates with the lake. Is that accurate, Gary, from what you know?
So, I went out there on request of this board with Jim.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Not to interrupt. Gary went out there at the request of Andrew Golas, the town administrator, who asked me to look into this, have Gary go out so we could, because he actually has the person that signed off on it to reduce the level through conservation, not knowing that you run into this. So he was trying to make sure that no one has any issues, any problems. That's why I said we need to get someone out there. He said, we'll have Gary go out. And that's why Gary was there. That's
So-
a request of Andrew Golas.
Okay, so you went out, you did a report, which this board has reviewed. We have a general understanding of it. If you want to break it out and tell us what it was, that's fine.
Simple terms, the analysis that I did was using a laser transit, surveyed the elevation of the shallow dug well, surveyed the groundwater, the groundwater drinking water elevation in the shallow dug well, surveyed the elevation of the pond, the lake. The pond and the shallow dug well are within, I don't have the memo right in front of me, 4/100ths of a foot, within a half inch. So your general term of they appear to be connected is my same assessment. The day I was there, the two homeowners were present, very helpful. They actually told us a lot about how the well was constructed. He actually gave us a nice long 16-foot clean piece of wood to put down to the bottom of the well to find the bottom of the well. Provided a lot of information on the well. So in that assessment, I provided the water level in the current well, and based on our measurements, the depth of the bottom of that well. I don't know the depth of the lake in front of their house. It's a relatively narrow section there, but that wasn't really relevant. I made a assessment that assumed that if the water table in the pond, lake drops by 2 feet, the water table in the well would drop by 2 feet. I did not do a hydrologic evaluation of the geology between that well and the lake. So it is possible, unlikely, but possible, that if they pumped their well down very hard and watered their lawn for 3 days and dropped it down 3 feet, that it might not recover instantly. It might recover within an hour, a day, a week, or a month. I don't know that.
Okay.
The day I was there, they were living in the house. They probably flushed toilets and did showers and did normal things, and the two were essentially level. Leads me to believe they're reacting with each other.
So the main concern is if the water level of the Glen Echo goes down, 171, let me back up. At a minimum, house number 171 has the potential to lose their potable drinking water, shower, all of that. That's the problem.
And that's a reasonable assessment.
Okay. Is anybody from the lake, or who are you guys?
We're Lake Association.
Your lake association. So the intent here is to lower it for the weed control. And it was at 6 feet or?
So 4 feet is what
Okay.
we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
The order of conditions has a variable range from 4 to 7 feet because we have 2 invasive species in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, when we go to 4 feet, we don't get it all. We have a lot of fanwort and milfoil, so we have to treat. We have gone to 5 feet in the past, probably 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When maintenance was done on the dam, the lake level was down 7 feet.
Okay.
There was another time in more recent history when Todd was Conservation Commission where the lake had gone down to 5 feet. So order of conditions, we took it out with the town. We put a contingency plan in place to provide water to wells if they needed it. My understanding, there's 171 Sunset, and the next door neighbors have shallow wells. The next door neighbors have never had an issue when we've gone 4, 5, or even the 7 feet. I've spoken with them. So we knew about the well. We put the contingency plan in there because we wanted to be able to work with them and give them potable water when the water went down, while maintaining the health of the lake, and everybody else would be able to enjoy weed-free lake. The water in the lake is a good water rating for the town. So that's the reason being that we've been doing this. We had to spend, this year, we spent $3,500 on weed control. I don't have all the numbers with me, but over the years, there was a year that we had to spend $25,000 on weed control. So rather than keep pumping chemicals into the lake, if we can extend the drawdown to reach the weeds that we can't reach with the current 4-foot, then we would be spending less money and maintaining the water quality of the lake.
And so, and I'm just curious, and I'm not so sure it's a Board of Health issue, but I'm just curious. If you guys do the extended drawdown now, and you're going after the invasive species, does that help long-term, so you don't have to do that next year or the year after?
Right.
You're going to extend the life of that maintenance?
Yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't be, and there's other things in that order of conditions also that would prevent us from going farther than, say, 5 feet. That if the lake doesn't recover, if there's impact to other wildlife in the lake, in the pond, that that extra foot adversely affects their ability to leave or their habitat, then we would have to stop at that limit.
Okay.
So every year we have data we have to give to conservation. It has to go to the DEP, and it has to be we have to show that we're not damaging anything else within that ecological system by extending the drawdown another foot each year. So I mean, we may stop at 5 feet and it may be adequate, or we may need to go to 6 feet one year, and the next year it could be 4 feet. I mean, there's ways to do this, and this is everything that we talked about when we pulled the notice of intent and then went through the whole thing with the DEP and the presentation to the Conservation Commission to get the order of conditions and get the DEP number to do this.
So, and again, I just think it's me personally asking, not so much the Board of Health, but so the plan, like if we draw the lake down, right, the town draws it down, and this house or a different house loses water, right? So it would appear there's a smoking gun, right? This is why there's no water, because we drew the lake down and all that.
Right, but we don't 100% know that for sure.
We wouldn't know that, but what is the plan? Is there a plan for that that residence without water?
Yeah, so in the order of conditions, there's a section where it says shallow well contingency, and the Lake Association will provide about 5,500 gallons worth of water while the lake was down.
So is that like bottled water to drink? Or
So that's something that we definitely can be worked out, but I know that, in the past, water buffaloes have been used, or a tank has come to refill. We can refill wells, things like that. Those are all options that we can certainly implement.
Okay. All right, I understand. So sir, I could see you in the back shaking your head. Do you want to comment, or?
I'm gonna let my wife talk before I blow my stack over this.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, for almost 30 years, we've been going through the same thing, and we do suffer when the lake does go down. When it goes down to 4 feet, we're losing about 50% of our working water at that time to be able to do a wash, take a shower, or whatever. We don't mind. We do conserve during that time, and we've done it for 30 years. Every time that this comes up for a renewal of the contract, we have to go through this again. We have so many articles here in front of the selectmen, all the TNG articles. This has been put to bed so many times that facts are facts. For 30 years, it's a fact. Something happens to our well if it goes lower than the 4 feet drawdown.
Okay.
To bring in potable water, it's winter time. How are you going to stop a pipe from freezing to bring it in? Bacteria, I am very concerned with, because I am a C. diff person. I don't know if there's something that can be done. When you came down and looked at the well, you were actually pretty shocked and that it looked pretty good. It was in very good shape. It's very good. It's very crystal clear water. You won't let us go down another tile, which is something that I'm not even sure I'd want to do to disturb the good well that I have already. To spend the money to put in an artesian well as deep as I have to get. I don't have arsenic right now. I don't have sulfur right now. I've had my well tested many times, especially after they put the chemicals in the lake, to make sure that nothing is leaching into my well. We're willing to help to do something, but we're already giving something, and I'm not sure what else there can be. We've been told that you can't do potable water from this board.
But water buffaloes, I have the articles in front of the selectmen. The same people are right here doing the same
30
thing
years,
again.
it's almost come to the point,
Every
I don't want
time
to say harassment,
they
but I'm
order
done
it
with
to
it.
stay at 4 feet, we have no problem, as long as it's maintained at 4 feet. But there is issues with that.
There have been years that
We
it has
called
gone
many
lower.
times to Todd over the years. When Dave Sanders ran the dam, after all the issues we had with Skip Bellery at the beginning. And I don't want to get into the personalities of all of this, but the selectmen's made their rulings. You can read it all in here. I've got a paper here that states that in Charlton, it's a well-known fact that there's arsenic, sulfur, and MTVs in the down to the bedrock. Why would I put in a deep artesian bedrock well and have to put a filtration system in it? This ludicrous of giving us 2,500 gallons of water. What, are they gonna get a plumber out there the minute my well goes dry? How long are we gonna be inconvenienced over we're giving them 50% of our water already for the time that they do this?
Sir?
So, I'm Frank Sapula, I live on the lake, Vice President of the Lake Association. I'm also on the Lakes and Ponds Task Force. I'd like to express the importance of drawdowns for weed treatment. A few years ago in Buffinville, prior they had not done drawdowns. They had a child get entangled in the weeds and drown. After that, they started doing deep drawdowns and chemical treatments. We had the town asked us to do a bathymetric study of the lake to determine, by an environmental company, to determine the effects of drawdowns. And they concluded that drawdowns are beneficial to the environment of the lake. In fact, the town was so impressed with the report, they ordered reports for all the town waters. You have 100 taxpayers that live on the lake. Many of them pay good water special tax assessment in addition to their normal taxes. They have deep wells. I guess we all have arsenic in our wells. I understand Kevin's situation. I just wish the town would see the importance of the deep drawdowns and the effect on the weeds. It benefits the environment, could possibly save lives, and improves property values, and find another solution to Kevin's well.
Excuse me.
Sir, go ahead.
I take offense about the weeds and somebody dying. I have a real problem with that. I feel sorry if that really happened. But these people changed the laws on Glen Echo Lake to drag people back and forth 30 feet off my
That's not
shore.
relevant. Kevin,
Okay?
I'm sorry,
Which
that's not
changed the
relevant.
laws. Now, if somebody dies doing that, are you gonna feel bad because the town allowed that to happen? Right in this article here, it states that the selectman says they're responsible if we lose our water. Not these people. The town is. We're giving the town 50% of our water already for the 4-foot drawdown that's been agreed upon. And when the articles are right here, you don't want to read it all, I'll hand it up here and you can read it all.
No, go ahead, ma'am.
No, if you want to say something, go ahead.
Well, so I'm a realist, right? I try and find the easy route. Like, let's make this happy and let's just hit the easy button and move on. And sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. Sir, it's not my well, and I feel for you because I'm not in your shoes and been dealing with that all the years. And as far as the Lake Association goes, I see the importance in the drawdowns, and I am familiar with the incident at Buffinville. You know, so I get it. I can see both sides of this. So really our role here as the Board of Health, I would say, is to say, listen, how can we help? How can we assist? What is it that we can do to to find that easy button. And at the end of the day, all of the going back and forth, it's really not a Board of Health issue. The issue at hand for the Board of Health directly is if a resident doesn't have water, the house is unfit for human habitation. That is a Board of Health issue. Jim, am I missing something here, or is there more to the story?
To you, Mr. Chairman, under the minimum standards of fitness for human habitation, if insufficient water is in the home to flush toilets and live there, then we would be forced to, that home would be deemed unfit for human habitation. Therefore, they would not be able to stay in their own homes. And then it would deem that who is responsible for that. I don't believe it just because it's one person, and I know the lake's trying to do the best thing. I went today to check the lakes, and this is Cranberry Meadow Shore Lake, and it just has weeds everywhere.
Yeah.
We're at a low point, but that lake is down, but as you can see, I went there today, it's full of weeds.
Right.
I don't know who controls that, but I just think you're right. What's the right thing to do? But I think in this case, the town does own that water. I believe, correct me if I'm
They
wrong.
own the land under the water. They own the dam.
The state owns the water. The
I mean-
town owns the land under the water.
But it's, I think, and I'm not too sure about, but I know conservation was involved, and I know Andrew had something to do with it, because he spoke after Kevin came in. I went and saw Andrew, and he wants to do the right thing like you do. He certainly doesn't want to cause any manifest injustice to any residents, but at the same time, he wants to make sure that the lake is healthy
Right.
for years to go. So what's the right answer? I don't know, but I don't think the right answer is to take away someone's ability to live in their own home. That's just my opinion as the health director.
I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with that, and although this board typically has taken action on things that have happened and not so much the fear of things that may happen, and I could go over numerous occasions on where the board has, hoped for the best that things haven't gone south.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have and sometimes they haven't. But really, until it goes south, we have no authority. We can't tell the Lake Association, no, you can't do that.
I did look under the shallow well regulations are in our well regulations. We have authority over to monitor shallow wells. And shallow wells are pre-existing and under the control of the local Board of Health. Whether this was brought up because it became a town issue. It became an issue of what do we do is the right thing, and I spoke to Andrew about it, who wanted to offer up certain things to do and asked me to get Gary over there. So this is where we're at now. Like you said, it's a difficult situation. Like you said, given direction to the town, the board is an autonomous board and tries to do the right thing here. Is it just a money issue? Is it the chemicals that are in there because of the of all the noxious weed control that is there? Look at Cranberry Meadow; it's overgrown. I don't know if they have a lake association
They do
there.
chemical treatments over there, but they don't do drawdowns.
They don't do drawdowns.
So the chemical treatment, it helps, but it's not 100% effective. Even when we do chemical, treatments, say 1 year we see weeds here, so we treat there. We can't possibly afford to treat everywhere every year. Well, next year, there's a ton of weeds here, and there's kids swimming there, and they're getting tangled. I'd like to see a solution where everyone benefits.
Yeah, I would too. I wish there was, middle of the road where we could both go. Pete, do you want to chime in on this? What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think from Gary's report that the levels are connected, and I think what we heard that even in the report that any ill effect to the habitat for the wildlife, I think we have to also include human habitats there. That's their home. That there has to be a acceptable mitigation plan in effect that could be triggered if there's any ill consequence from the drawdown. Now, I mean, who mediates that? I don't know, but I mean, I think that there's a high enough risk that you have to have a plan in place that's satisfactory for both the homeowner and the town.
Selectmen have already ruled on that.
No, they haven't.
John, do you have any comments?
Here in the article.
Excuse me, sir. John, do you have any comments?
Matt, let me just state for the record that as somebody who's been in town for 30-plus years, I've got an issue with long-term residents who have been there and then they have the potential for losing water. I haven't heard every single word, but I don't know how to put this, but I'm feeling for the residents who have been there for 30-plus years, and now they have the potential for losing water. And quite frankly, if they draw the water down further than what was agreed to, and I heard something about a Board of Selectmen resolution, then the town, in my mind, would have to supply water so that they can stay in their house. And without going any further, that's the way that I'm feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I just have to, and I'll hear you in one second.
I have one more comment.
Yeah, I just really want to draw the line here and say, what is the role of the Board of Health? I feel bad. I live in town. I've always lived in town. I've been on the lake. I fished there. I've gone swimming there. I mean, you know, I see both sides of it. So all I can do is take my personal feelings, put it in the back pocket, and say, what is the role of the Board of Health at this point? What can we do to help you legally? Either side, right? And when I look at the role of the Board of Health from a legal point of view, to the best of my knowledge, and I may be found incorrect, but we have no authority. We can't tell you to draw it down or not, and I just don't believe we have the authority to do that. And it really comes down to us saying that if houses don't have water, now they're unfit for human habitation or whatnot. It's not right. It's not like the dam burst, the lake drained out, and people don't have water, and that's an act of God. This is foreseen. It's been discussed, and I believe this whole issue is a civil matter that this board really has no say in, other than the fact that if a house doesn't have potable water or running water, you can't live there. That's the authority that the board has, which, good or bad, that's where it ends.
So,
Sir, go ahead.
They like their
I'll
wa-
get you next, ma'am. Sir.
That's fine.
they like their well, and if we draw down 2 or 3 more feet, they lose their well. Then does the board have the authority to let them extend a well 4 feet so they can still have the same water?
I don't think the board would dictate any of that, other than the fact that they don't have water, and until they came up with a solution to have water, they're not supposed to live in the house. We wouldn't say you must do this or you must do that. I believe our rule is you don't have water, you can't live there. You do have water, you can live there.
So if someone came to you and said, I have this well, I want to extend it 4 feet. What's your response? For whatever reason, I want to extend it 4 feet.
They would fill out an application. Well, if they're going to drill it down deeper 4 feet, I don't know what's that, an amendment or
Yeah, just they'd come into a well permit that they need
Well
a deep
permit.
well. Wells are going dry in Charlton. There's a lot of wells going dry, and people are re-drilling. And some
Same.
people are having trouble because they're on the side of a hill like this now, and there's trees now that are this big, and you can't get there. So they got to run temporary lines out of the top of the well to the house.
But to answer your question, it's some paperwork, and go ahead and drill a
We were
well.
told we couldn't by the Board of Health.
Well, I'm sorry, what's that?
We were told we could not extend the depth of our well by the Board of Health.
And they don't recommend doing it because it could cause the well to fail.
Do you know when that may have been?
We were talking at the well about it.
It
He
wasn't this
commented on the condition of the well, what kind of shape it is, the tightness of the joints. We're giving up 50% of our water for these people for weeds.
The only reason we actually, I guess, are in front of you was because of the clause that they had put in the contract that if we did lose water, that the town would end up supplying us water. And we came because we want to be proactive, not reactive, as to
'Cause we've
what
lost
would
our
happen.
water.
We've lost our water
When the
before.
dam was repaired, everybody around the lake
Deep
lost
wells
their
lost
water.
their water at that point. We
The
have a
articles
friend.
are right here.
So, in a perfect world, what, from your point of view, what is it? No, don't lower the water, or provide us with water, or what?
We're
Like,
giving 4 feet of the water. How is the town gonna provide the water to us? They're gonna bring a water line in? They're gonna pay for that? If and when the well goes dry again at these ridiculous drawdowns with drought, you haven't even brought in the fact about the hydrology report. When the pressure on the lake goes down, there's less pressure pushing it into the land to where my well is. So it's even lower.
go ahead. I know you've been waiting.
Couple of things I want just clarification for me. I got the email is what you're talking about, is the report. The email from Gary to you guys, is that the report you're talking about?
Yeah, the report that I was talking about was Gary's report.
Right, yeah. So it says it's assumptions about lake level and how it reflects on the well level.
Yep.
To fully characterize the well, what would need to be done? Like refill refill timing, how deep the well is, that kind of stuff. What would that entail?
So I would refer to Gary, because I am not a well
Okay,
expert on it, but I'm sure it's more than, and if that's the answer you're looking for, more than
Well-
shooting the elevation.
Understood. Would that be information? That'd be more information that we would have to fully understand what the well does when the water level from the lake starts to drop.
Can you
Correct?
just believe us?
Can I finish, please?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Is that, I mean, because we have this one data point. So the water's down 4 feet. We don't have, this is an assumed data point, we don't know the data point. When I spoke with Gary on the phone, he said the more data points you have, the better characteristics you're gonna know about the well, from an engineering standpoint. Is that something we could do? If we have to keep it at 4 feet this year, for whatever reason, could we go and take another data point to understand exactly what this well is doing? Because honestly, we hear that they lose water. We have never seen any documented evidence that they've actually gone dry.
So to answer that question, you can do any test you want, right?
Okay.
The board's not gonna say no. If you wanna do more tests, it's always helpful. I don't believe this board is gonna require it.
Okay.
And I
Fair
don't
enough.
believe giving us any of that data is gonna change the authority of
Gotcha.
this board.
Nope, not a problem. Understood.
Did you have a second one, or was that?
No, that was this was just, I wanted to understand what exactly this meant, because these are, again, assumptions.
Yeah.
So,
I can't, I really can't say it any other way, that it's, at this time, it's not a Board of Health issue. It's a concern. We don't want to see anybody without water, especially if we're drawing the lake down and now they have water or multiple houses, but it's all assumptions, and it could happen, it might happen.
Right.
It may have happened in the
Understood.
past or not.
Yep.
But I just don't see this board can't tell you not to do it.
understood. No, I just wanted to understand,
You know,
get some more information on all of this.
that is all really Concom. I know you've gone through their channels and have
Yep.
worked with them, and if there's an order of conditions on that, you know, from my opinion, you're free to do what you want to do over there. The flip side of that is, if the resident, specifically this one that we're talking about, or the neighbor, loses water, it could go to court. Like it's going to be a civil matter at that point.
Understood.
And especially if I don't have water, you know, and now at this point it's proven that there's no water, and then and they can call themselves and say we don't have water, and then Jim would go down, put a tag on the house unfit for human habitation, correct? And then if there's motels or whatever, I don't know. That's a long road that hopefully nobody has to go down. But until that happens, it's really not Board of Health.
Okay.
It's a concern for us, but there's no authority. Like, I wish there was an easy button, drop it down 10 feet and it doesn't affect anybody, because I'm all for what you want to do. And at the same time, I hope they don't lose water pressure and lose water as well.
No, yeah, understood.
Yeah, so, sir, I know you're,
It seems they don't understand that fluid seeks its own level with a restriction in between it, which is the land mass. It isn't a pipe connecting the well at the bottom to the lake. So when all that head pressure, which is the weight of the water, is diminished by the drawdown lake level, it changes as it goes into the earth. It's a fact. Fourth grade science, kids understand this.
Sir, I
These
agree
people
this.
don't.
sir, I understand that, but at that level, it's still conservation matter,
We
not
know,
Board
we've
of
been in
Health.
front of the selectmen over this.
Right.
This is their harassment. We're giving 50% of our water for the duration of the weed 4 feet. It's documented. It's in the articles in the TNG for 30 years.
Yeah, I can clearly see you're frustrated over the matter.
We're done with this.
And-
We just want to be left alone.
Right.
Every time they go for a conservation renewal, they pull the same thing.
Right.
The same documents, the same selectmen. Aren't you people sick of it too? We are.
Well, there's nothing more I can do to
Well,
help you or hurt you on it. It is what it is at this point. They have the right to do that. As long as conservation's on board with it, they can drain the lake. As long as they, follow the guidelines with the habitat or whatnot.
And that's what we've agreed to. It's documented to the 4-foot level by the selectmen, with her sitting in the audience.
Even if you drained it dry, it's still at this point not a Board of Health issue.
Correct. And the only reason, again, why we were in front of the Board of Health, my
Is
belief
because of
was-
them.
was because they had to guarantee somehow safe water to us if we ran out of water. Again, we're more than agreeable. We don't want to put more chemicals into the lake. It's unfortunate that we do have a good shallow well right now that provides good water to us that I can't and don't have the money to change off of or want to get all of the chemicals are involved and everything else.
So when you say that you just want to make sure you don't run out of water, or I'm paraphrasing what you said, but you don't want to run dry.
I wanted the proactive reason and
How the
How
town was
it
gonna
would- how the
provide
town was
us
gonna
with
provide.
water
And that's why
before
you
it
guys were
happens.
involved.
Because we already know it happens.
So, like a water buffalo or a tanker is
We were
not.
You
told-
can't have it, if you please, about water buffaloes.
Is that illegal, Jim, for water buffaloes?
It just wouldn't be potable sitting there for the quality of time.
So it wouldn't be potable. So bottled water would be potable.
for showers.
How you gonna put that in my water heater, into my pipes?
You
so I
don't
can
need
flush my
potable water
toilet?
for that.
Huh?
You don't need potable water.
Yeah, but how you gonna get it in there? In the wintertime, you're gonna hire a plumber to come drill holes through my house, to put pipes in, and how are you gonna keep it from freezing? I mean,
They plug in.
So there's methods to get it to happen.
yeah, it's all
I had a shallow
inconvenience
well, and
to us
and I-
over what they wanna do.
Excuse me, sir.
I had a shallow well and ended up putting in a full well in 2007. But prior to that, our well pulled in something, so we couldn't get water. It was in the wintertime. We ran a hose to the neighbor, insulated the hose, and had water. So it's doable.
It's
There,
doable.
there's
Right, when emergency situations.
and I did
but
it
when
for
some-
6 weeks until I could get it thawed out and I could get access to my well. So it is doable, is my point.
Right,
And according to when I talked with Gary, I understand how lake levels and fluid levels work, as that's what I do for a living. So there's everybody around this lake. When the water went down to 7 feet in '99 to fix the dam, people put in artesian wells. But I'm almost positive it didn't happen to me, but I know water buffaloes were provided for a certain amount of time, and the town said, "This is what you got to do. You're going to need to fix your situation." I've lived on the lake for over 30 years. I've had a shallow well. I now have a regular well. It's an improvement to my house. protects the lake. I hate having to worry about what I'm gonna do with water. Do I flush the toilet? Do I not? Do I run the dishwasher? Nope, because I gotta let my well refill. And that's one of the things. We don't know how fast it takes for their well to refill. We don't know that they truly run out of everything because we don't have any evidence to the contrary other than what they say. And I believe that they say that they lose water, but we have never seen evidence that they actually go dry.
So, in a little recap without everybody getting too upset, it seems as though it would be possible to provide water to a residence that loses water. And although it may not be potable water, Jim, bottled water would suffice for the potable side of it, for drinking, coffees or whatnot.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, we supply bottled water because of contamination from our landfill to many residents. And we supply in a situation, but in that case, they still have water. It's just that it's contaminated. In their case, he's saying that if he runs out, his ability to take a shower changes his lifestyle, and they have a right to live in a peaceful existence without any threat to change in their life. And that's part of the protection of their way of living. And I understand what the lake is trying to do, and certainly if that's what happens, I think Andrew's wants to do the right thing for the residents. That's why he's asked me to, get Gary in there to do some research, which we did. It wasn't, we were there for a while. Angela from Conservation was there. She came along with us. It's certainly, but as far as this whole, I know that the Lake Association is there for a reason, to make sure the lake is healthy and lasts for a long time. But unfortunately, it is run by the town of Charlton, and even Conservation, if they feel that they're going to lose water for someone, they're very reluctant. Andrew did sign off on it, and I think maybe there's a way to monitor as they go down to make sure. Is there something they can put in the well to see if the recovery rate is, how fast is it? I think there should be some kind of technology to put in their well to see how fast the recovery rate is on that, if they're using and showering. So we can always supply potable water. We do it, but if no water is a whole different story, because then toilets become an issue, showering becomes an issue, and it's a total inconvenience.
It's a total inconvenience, but it seems like it's doable. If there was no water, it sounds like there's a way to get them water.
Andrew was willing to drill a well, do what he had to do, see what he could do, but I think they have to be amendable to make the change. And I feel, looking at the well, it does look nice. And Gary was in it. It looks like a good well. And I can understand he brought me out a glass of water, and there's no smell, there's no odor, but as you know, it's not always what it looks like. That could be contaminated and look perfect, and the glass that looks like a pile of mud is actually the potable one. But it's a difficult situation. Like you said, we only gave it based upon the town wanting to do the right thing, and this is where we are. Both sides have an issue, but I think should look into other ways of monitoring as well to see if as they go down, does it adversely affect the well, and then they could probably put a stop.
Pete, do you have any further comments?
No, I think Jim raises a good point. Ongoing monitoring, as like we said, we can't stop them, but we can, suggest that they monitor their wells status as they, proceed with this potentially. So I think that's reasonable.
John, do you have anything to add?
Well, I've been listening, and I'm catching about 90% of it because the wind's blowing and I've got traffic going by, but I'm kind of in agreement with you, Matt. But at the same time, I'll reiterate that I've got a real issue with long-term residents that are potentially getting their water supply basically taken away. And it's my belief that the town should make some sort of an effort to make sure that they don't have to move out of their house for months on end.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thank you. So, Gary, please.
Just by way of clarification, no opinion either way. It was said that the Board of Health said the well couldn't be lowered. I was there with Jim. We talked about, there was lots of questions from you guys, very good questions, about options. And I refrained from giving opinions on options at that point because I said that's not what I'm here for. There was questions about drilled wells, there was questions about deepening the well, there was many questions, and I didn't want to get in the middle of that at that point. I was there for a specific reason. What's the water level? How much water's in the well? Not the yield of the well, none of that. If I said that the well couldn't be lowered and wasn't allowed, I didn't mean to say that because I don't know if that's in the well regs. I did not hear Jim say that. So I just want to be clear that I don't believe, the board certainly didn't vote and say the well can't be lowered, just to be clear. And if I said that, I apologize because I didn't mean to say anything along those lines. I want to be really clear.
Let's clarify it right now. We can lower the well if we want to, correct? Or the resident could lower the well.
The resident or the Lake Association?
Whoever, if there's a well and they want to go deeper with it, that's allowed in this town
Yeah, with a permit, absolutely.
with a permit.
Yep.
So that's clarified.
Okay. And there
Your
was
neighbor-
questions about construction and all kinds of things. So
Yep.
it is a shallow dug well with concrete tiles, probably installed with a pretty large backhoe or excavator a long time ago because it's relatively deep. It's 9.5, 8.5 feet deep into the water table now. There were questions about how does it get lowered. There's all kinds of mechanisms to lower it. I'm not a well driller. I know there's mechanisms where that well could stay in place and they could work inside of it, encase it, and lower it. There's mechanisms where you could take that whole well out and dig a new one. There's mechanisms where a new bedrock, we call it artesian well, drilled well, could be put in. There are mechanisms, but I need to be really clear, and you answered the question. That well, as it sits, could be lowered. And whoever they is, can get a permit and can do that. That would allow more storage in the well. His question on hydraulics and pressure is exactly right, 2.3 inches per foot of water pressure. So all that comes into play. Those are options. That, as you said, doesn't come into play until it happens for this board. So I just want to clarify that. The other thing that I want to clarify is discussion, the last 15 minutes talked about monitoring the well. A simple pressure transducer could be installed in the well. It has a data logging capacity. Come out with a laptop once a month, download the data, documents the water level in the well. Could take that data, do some assumptions on water use, and calculate some, what we call yield of the well, to figure out how well the discussion was how well it recovers, how quick it recovers, how slow it recovers. The right way to do that full test is to put a pressure transducer in there and then put a meter, we call it a totalizing meter, on his house so that somebody records all the water that flows through the house, and it has a timer on it so it records the time of day, and then you calibrate that usage with that drawdown, and you can calculate exactly how well that well yields when the lake is full, when the lake is 1 foot down, 3 feet down, and you don't have to put a pressure transducer in the lake. So, pretty extensive study to answer the question. Financially, probably less money to repair the well, whatever that may be, deepen it, drill a different well. I'm not here to make an opinion on what's the right one. I'm just telling you that you could do a pretty detailed study to answer those questions, figure out the yield and all that information.
How much would that cost? Exactly, ballpark.
To do the type of study we're
Yeah,
talking
that you
about,
just brought up.
$10,000-$15,000 for a year's worth of work. Because you'd want to do it, you'd have to do it over
No,
a
I get-
cycle of
I
drawdown.
understand the process.
You'd have to do it over a cycle of drawdown.
Mhm.
And I would expect that to be in excess of $10,000 to do that kind of, to collect the data and do that kind of study, to evaluate that well in these conditions of 1 foot, 4 foot, 7 feet of drawdown.
And it was discussed at the beginning that what's happening here with the lake, the reason for doing this is its maintenance. It's been going on for 30 years. It's probably going to go on for another 30 years. So the easy button would be nice if we could figure out a long-term solution so none of the houses run into lack of water. So maybe this discussion, maybe maybe it, enlightens us on, maybe taking a step moving forward on maybe doing something, getting a deeper well or doing some testing or whatnot. But as far as the discussion goes, Gary, did you have anything else you
I
wanted to
just
say?
want to clarify those points. No, I do not.
So, as far as the board goes, at this point, sir and ma'am, we hear you, we feel for you. I don't think there's anything we can do at this point for you. And with the Lake Association, I know they hear our concerns and your concerns as well. So it's, whatever happens, it's.
You can't grant them to go the 5, 6, 7 feet. You can't even grant them the 4 feet from this board.
This board couldn't grant
No
any of it.
kidding. This is
That's right.
ridiculous why we're here.
But
It's
they-
over the quality of our lifestyle here in Charlton. We'll be glad to go back in front of the selectmen to get this put to bed for the last time. That's where we'll all be. I request all of you guys to be at that meeting, because we're going to the office now and setting it up. We're done with this. It's all in there past here in the articles, what the selectmen ruled for 4-foot maximum. Every time they go for a permit renewal, they pull the same thing.
But the DEP
And we're
issues
willing,
the permit, not-
we're willing to give them half of our water for the 4
And
months.
again, we were told a couple of months ago or was winter time, when we weren't living at the house this past winter, we were taking care of my dad. We came back to the house and it was down lower than the 4 feet. My husband did come up, speak with conservation, and came into the Board of Health at that point, and that's when he was told that we couldn't put another tile in our shallow well.
And we couldn't have a water
And
buffalo.
we couldn't
for
have a water
potable
buffalo, because the only
Same
thing,
thing
again,
we've been
we
told.
want proactive, not reactive. I don't want to be running out of water and be calling and have to stay in a motel until you can get a pipe or something to me for the water.
Right.
That's why I'm here, proactive.
Sounds like a simple solution. You let them put another tile, and the environment is
Everything.
helped, lives are safe, and they can still use their good water. That sounds like a simple solution.
It's
Tom.
our property. It's our prerogative. It's not your prerogative.
All right, we're
What
gonna-
you're doing
Sir.
is harassing us.
No.
Sir,
No.
nobody's harassing anybody in
Oh,
this
yes,
office.
it is.
Not in
As
this
many
office.
trying to
times
come up with
as
a
we've
solution.
had
Point
to
of order.
deal with this, it's
Listen.
harassment.
Sir, you can't keep going like that. We've heard it. I'm trying to be patient. I'm being more patient than any board around us. So please, don't make me kick you out of here, because I can, and I don't want it. I feel for you. I know you're frustrated. I feel for these guys. I know they're frustrated. You guys have been going back and forth, sounds like for 30 years. Now it's in front of us. I let both you guys vent, and it's over. There's nothing this board can do at this point. I wish there was, but there's not.
We're not asking you to do anything for us.
Okay.
We never did.
All right. Well, thank you very much for everybody for coming in.
You.
Gary, while you're here, do you want to talk about the landfills or anything to touch on?
I do. I'll give you a quick update.
Something might have let them less contentious.
Can I just say one thing before we leave? 173 Sunset Drive is going to be drilling a well. That's his neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
So that's Tina and Dave Barber, and that's who I spoke with. And they never, even when it was down, when the water was down 7 feet, and they worked on the dam, they didn't lose water. So,
just
thank you.
I wish
Yep,
you the best of
that's
luck with it. Jar it down and hope for the best.
Well,
I don't know
I
what
mean,
to
I
tell
have
you.
an appointment. We're on the Board of Selectmen's, because they have signed off on it. They have the ultimate say, but yes, it's been going on 30 years. I've lived on the lake since I was a kid, and we've always had drawdowns, so other people said, oh yeah, we're having drawdowns every year. We're gonna put a well in. They refused, they wouldn't even, and I know you've been on his property multiple times, but we were told nobody's allowed on the property.
with permission, I want to add his request and went on his property.
Right, but I mean, we were in selectmen meetings, he basically told nobody's allowed on my property, you can't do anything.
Yeah, they offered to put in a well. They don't want a well.
At this point, though, it's totally not a Board of Health.
No, it's a civil matter.
Civil and
It wouldn't be the
Concom.
first time he has sued us in the town. It's happened before.
So, I have a question, I like the location of wells of concern. Are there any on Glen Echo Lake?
think there's a lot.
We didn't include that in this, but I certainly can get that. We have we have a CMRPC that does our wells and stuff. Maybe they can do the private wells and make a map for
It
us.
was just a question because this is the only well that I've ever heard of on our lake that has any issues. I don't know, and I have a meeting next week with our lake association, so I'm going to ask questions. But as far as I know, nobody on our lake has to deal with any of those chemicals that he was, arsenic, all that other bad stuff that can be in your water. I just looked at my water report and I'm perfectly fine. So I don't know.
We have manganese and sulfur, but the filter takes that out.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get a map made up to include that area for you.
No, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
Well, we pay them and it's already paid for, so we can just request it.
Oh, okay, awesome. All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, good luck.
Bye, John. Stay dry.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Angela.
Okay, so Gary, let's just jump on, blend them right in, let's just talk
Slide it
about.
right in real quick.
Yeah, talk about the landfills in any order that you feel is prudent.
All right, we'll make the easiest one, we'll punt on the easy ones first. Should have the generalized plan within a month or so of the capping concept with some scenarios for you guys. So that's just, we're still engineering, working on that for the old landfill at 54 Flint Road. The capped landfill at 90 Flint Road, we did the testing in June. All the data came back consistent with historical data that's been submitted to the state. No change, no change. The mowing is ongoing. I've checked things, it's fine. He'll get 2 mowings in this year. He's trying to mix in the repairs of the berms that we talked about. So it's not done, but it's in the works. 54 Flint Road landfill. As you know, we're in we've got a DEP release tracking number for the 1,4-dioxin and the TCE that was detected in one home. We continue to do the testing there quarterly. We just finished and received the last bit of data yesterday from the last round of quarterly testing of 13 homes. Everything's non-detect. We are obligated to submit a report, an email to DEP, because when this issue came up in 2016, it was more of a hot button issue and DEP wanted to be cognizant of what was going on rather than waiting for our 6 months reports. So each time we get data, we're required to send DEP an email with a summary of the data. Ben just sent that email today, Ben Gould, my business partner, our LSP, and requested a reduction of sampling of almost all these homes from quarterly to annual. And a couple of the homes, or 1 or 2, to semi-annual. That literally was sent within the last 2 hours. So we certainly will not have a response from DEP.
Right.
I don't want to opine either way. I think they may grant some of those, probably not all of them. They may tell us you have to do semi-annual on all of them instead of annual for another 2 years. We have 4 quarters of data on most of these wells that now meet the standards with no detections. We do have a concerned citizen with a what I'll call a legitimate concern at number 12, Old Town Road, where we've had some detections in the dupe, but not in the original sample. We haven't had those now for 3 quarters. So I could very easily be convinced to continue doing quarterly there for a little while longer because that one had an anomalous result historically. But we'll wait to hear from DEP. We don't have to do the next sampling until Q4, so generally it'd be November, but I'll certainly be talking to you guys before that. It would absolutely be a cost savings to the board, but I know the board's major directive is not cost, it's human health and the environment. Our directive as your Ben Gould, my business partner, is your LSP and is your consulting firm, is to protect human health and the environment first and foremost. When we have multiple quarters of data that are non-detect, the regulations allow us and we feel confident in reducing that sampling from quarterly to annual as we requested. If we go back to semi-annual, we'll still be protecting human health appropriately, I believe. So, that is the new news that I have for you guys.
Good.
Um,
You did touch on that last time, that you were thinking that we might be going for that request.
So Ben submitted kind of a pretty blanket request today,
Good.
not in a status report, again, in that required email. And we'll see where it goes.
Great.
And we'll advocate for the right thing to be done. And if that means continuing to do quarter sampling, we'll do that. But I think there's enough technical data here to certainly back out a majority of these wells.
Good. What else you got?
That's it.
I did forward the Ben Gould's email to the board.
Awesome.
Do you guys have questions for me on either of those? That's kind of all I have for you on them.
Pete?
Good.
John, you got anything for Gary?
Yes, Gary, on a personal note, on Route 20 in Sturbridge, there is new building going up, and it says CMG Engineering. Is that your new building?
No, we did the engineering. There's a new gas station and EV, electric vehicle discovery center, going in there.
Okay, sorry, it's probably not even really town business, but I saw that and I thought, well, maybe CMG is moving. All right.
Our office
No,
is 1,000 feet from there. We're staying right where we are.
Okay, very good, thanks. That's it.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on, Jim, to, you wanna discuss COVID vaccines? You wanna go to department reports? Floor is yours, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. COVID cases are actually increasing a little bit. I think a lot of people are testing at home. I know that we had an issue where you did get a call and I got a call. We do have the test available. We've announced it. All the department heads know that if they need them, just to call me and I'll give them to them, whatever they need, cleaning, whatever they need to make themselves better. I did bring a case, but there's 90 in there, so there's 2 in each, so 100. There's quite a few in there. So I did bring a case to the DPW.
Perfect.
But if any other department needs them, they know they can just call. They're sitting here. They don't do any good sitting here.
Yeah.
We want to get them out to the residents to make sure they get testing, so you don't go to work and infect anyone else. So certainly, as far as COVID cases, the nurses are still doing. Schools are opening soon, so hopefully we don't have any issues there. I know we won't. Knock on wood, but we want to keep our children safe and certainly provide a good, safe environment in schools. I know that we'll be doing our inspections there. I know that Camp Foskett went on without any hitch, but I know that Camp Johnson didn't open and they closed the one in Oxford because of COVID cases, cluster, so they shut down. So it's still prevalent, but certainly, we're moving forward on it and doing what we have to do. If people need anything from the Board of Health, COVID related, that we're helping out.
What's the word on the street with the water pressure at Bay Path?
That's another issue I was going to talk to you about. We had a meeting there. We went and discussed that when they had the fire, as you know, they hit the hydrant and certainly reduced, and you had an air gap in that flow and did shut down. So that's an issue. They need to engineer that out so Bay Path does not lose any of their water pressure. Discharge pressure is fine. It's the intake. They think that building is up high, but the pump is burnt out twice already, the number 2 pump. So we had a meeting of the minds, and basically I said that the Board of Health will have no choice but to close the school in the event there's no water, period. So make it work. So I know that the superintendent's concerned. They never lost water from their well, which is now running a sprinkler system and used for other things, but that cannot be tied into a municipal line. We certainly know that the other schools haven't had issues, but Bay Path has had quite a few issues with loss of water with a very expensive system that's used to pump that up there. They said there were some internal things inside the building that were maybe plumbed wrong that may cause back pressure. They're trying to resolve those. It's back and forth. We had a meeting of, I don't know, maybe there were 15 or 20 of us. Everyone had their own input. My only input was on behalf of the Board of Health. No water, no school, so try and fix it and get it done. We certainly, I don't think a town will accept anything that's not sufficiently working, meaning ExxonMobil, and sign off that to continue to go forward when the school is losing water, pressure, and the pump is shutting down constantly. So when I say constantly, I don't mean constantly, but I think once or twice a month is too much,
Yeah, I agree.
so.
All right, anything else?
The 6 West contamination issue, Mark Baldy reached out, and so did Forensic Environmental, about a permanent solution statement with conditions about getting out to the general public. It's gonna be at the library, they're gonna put it in the newspaper, and it's gonna be at the Board of Health, and it's sent to the selectmen through Andrew Golas. So I'll make sure that the board gets it, but this is something that, if they sent to every single resident, they weren't sure if that was the most prudent thing to do. With the DEP's permission and with speaking with me, we felt that we could get it to anyone. We put it on our website for everyone to see, and that was the way to do it.
So, just in summary, is it a plan for a permanent solution? Or is there a permanent solution and this is the recap of it?
That's the recap.
Okay, and that's the water lines?
Yeah, for 6 West, that's been going on for, that we've had for a long, long time. It was just whether Forensic Environmental was going to mail this copy to each resident of Charlton, or there was a more suitable, acceptable way. Mark Baldy agreed with my assessment that the Board of Health could get it out, as well as having it at the library on file and giving it to the selectmen. And if anyone requested a copy, that we would certainly mail it from this department, but it will be on our website also.
So I'm just gonna read a little bit of it quickly. Should have brought my glasses. In conclusion, the sources of contamination at the Charlton Service Area 6W associated with Massachusetts DEP release tracking number RTN 2-0760, the 6 West site, have been remediated. A permanent solution statement with conditions has been submitted to document that a permanent solution has been achieved at Service Area 6W in accordance with the Mass Contingency Plan. A map of the area of the permanent solution is attached. So, in summary, looks like DEP is satisfied with their plan.
They are. And I think that was all stemming from satisfying the Gould Cemetery and resolving that issue.
That was part of it.
Mhm. That's why it was left open.
We tried. We tried for those people. If you want to see it.
This is the understanding for mutual, for the 2 hirees to that $300,000 grant that Charlton is the lead agency, the host agency on. We need a signature from the chair, and we need a signature from the chairman of the selectmen. So if we could get that, we can move it along. I'd just like to be the first ones to, as the lead agency. Then we're waiting for the letter so we can post the positions. We do have a job description that we have made up today and received, and we'll be working on that. But I want the letter first because we don't have the money, and I don't think it's the most prudent thing to do is advertise a job without really truly having the money in hand. I just feel a little disingenuous if something happened. But certainly I'm receiving calls on it, and we certainly want to make sure. And one person, the chair, would be served on a committee that would also report to meetings through CMRPC, through our shared services coordinator, to make sure that all towns are happy.
Okay.
Ultimately, the hiring authority is always the board, and that's something that we would, bring before the boards. The thing is, when you have 5 boards to satisfy, that's why they want to choose. This board would ultimately have to say Charlton, but then they have an oversight board that would consist of the chair from each of the boards.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now. Things change all the time, but hurry up and wait. They came out with new grants. I don't know if you listened to the meeting today. Flashing more money for more shared service grant. You can only do so many, and I'm sort of waiting for this one to...
One at a time?
One at a time. But we're certainly keeping our eyes and ears open. We're basically helping other towns that may not have been able to help themselves, and Charlton will assist. Whether we use the services or not, we don't know, but you never know. Vacation and stuff, and I think that's the way the whole state is going with regionalization. So.
You never know until you need it,
You're right, and you know, things are going, we have, working on complaints, we did receive from the DEP that, the Charlton Woolen Mill, needs to do a 21E. The order is here,
Okay.
so that came to us,
Urgent,
yes.
prompt, action.
Those are the listed owners, and, they have to, they're part of that, contamination site, which was the Honey Farms. And they want sampling done, so that came to us. Want to make sure the board saw it. Whether they do it or not, I don't know, but
So they want to test the woolen mill,
yeah,
and it was through Honey Farms was the one requesting it?
they felt that they were in that range, because there's, you know, Moonstruck Cafe and all that area, they were right there, so that's, they figured it was sold. These are the two new owners that are gonna have to comply with that issue. I know people asking about the clam box, Dresser Hill won't be opening this year. He took it over and he started to do the thing over and getting supplies and getting people to do stuff. Just not gonna have time this year, so that issue is probably open up, but it'll be a much better place, much nicer next season. We also had what was the name of the coffee shop now? Sturbridge Coffee Roasters is now going to be on Brookfield Road, where the old Milk and Sugar used to be. They sold to them. We did the inspection today. They got approval. They're waiting for their common vic from the selectmen, but Andrew said if I felt it was comfortable, they would open. They probably won't open this week. Nothing has changed. It's standard. All the equipment that's there, it's just under a new ownership. So that'll be a sandwich, bagel, coffee shop, right on 7 Brookfield Road. So
It's right by the Sullivan Center?
yes, they actually share the same parking lot.
Right.
So
So you have the
Lit-
bank,
Yep.
Country Bank,
the bank
and then the next,
and that building right there is where that Milk and Sugar used to be.
and what, do you drive around the backside for the most part?
Yes, and he that runs really good business, and it has one in Dudley and then one in Southbridge, and they have good sandwiches and soups at lunch. And we met with him. His father-in-law is a longtime resident of Charlton, lives across the street from Sonic Home, and he has a good following, and I think it'd be nice to have a good coffee shop that we can sit down and do some paperwork and have a good cup of coffee. So,
Great.
but that's there. Right. Well, there was something else I had to bring up. Oh, the PFAS thing. We did get some information on the PFAS. We're part of that study. We had 26 homes tested. I sent you the link. If you click on the link on that, you'll see the 26 homes that test. We'll have to give you the addresses, because if you don't know the address, you can't put it in to find it. But it is in there, and they did send it out to DEP. So they listed all the towns that were part of the study. We weren't agreeable to the study, but we were part of the study on a voluntary basis.
Right.
So, but that's there.
And they were trying to get 40, was it?
40. They 26 ended up at 26. I think two of them, were only 2 or 3 had exceedances above the 20. So, I'm sure I forgot something, but that's about all I have for right now.
Pete, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss?
I don't.
John, do you have anything you would like to bring up?
No, thanks. I'm all set, thank you.
Anybody else in this room have anything they'd like to say? Andrew, you've been awful quiet over there.
She's typing.
Okay. Well, I guess if that's it, we can discuss our next meeting. Let's see. Anybody feel like 3 weeks? That would put us maybe, does that look like September 13th? Is that right? What do you think? John, you got any comments? 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
September 13th works perfect for me, thank you.
Yeah, because we have the all boards meeting the following week.
On the 20th? So why don't we, we'll shoot for the 13th, and if something comes up and we can't make it, then we'll address it before then. But until we're here, we'll lock it in for September 13th, 6 p.m.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. So with that being said, can I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
7:20. Thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, John.
Later.